Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the After Hours podcast. This week, I have the honor of having a gentleman. We're actually in business together now, which is amazing. Christopher Roberti. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me. Going back a couple of years ago at the old bank I was at, I heard a lot about you, a lot of great things, and I appreciate and I'm honored to actually be in business with you now. So I appreciate you taking the time to come out here today and
Yeah.
chop it up a little bit on the podcast.
Yeah, this is amazing. First, this place is incredible.
I appreciate that,
This
brother.
is great. What you've done is really impressive. Likewise, we never really, I think we had a small cup of coffee.
Yeah, no,
at the
we never
place.
got to
Yeah, we
connect,
never
yeah.
got to connect. So I'm really glad and fortunate. And, I think we'll probably touch on some of the things that we're at Hartford and all the
Yeah,
good
yeah.
stuff we got going. But this is awesome, man. This is really impressive. I'm looking
I
forward to
appreciate
it.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that, brother. Yeah, just to get right into
Yeah.
things.
Let's do it.
I started in the business that we're in when I was young. I was
Yeah.
probably 21 years old when I took the dive into the mortgage space, and I kind of wanted to hear a little bit about your background and your story.
Sure.
Were you always a sales guy? Like when,
Yeah.
going through high school, did you know you wanted to be in a business like this where, I didn't really see the opportunity right away. I kind of knew, like, all right, the guys are in finance, something with money. You
Yeah.
could make some
I
money.
knew I
but
wanted to make money.
I didn't really know either until I actually got into it, and I saw, all right,
Yeah.
I'm giving all these guys, these licensed guys, these applications, and they're making all the money. What the heck is going on? But
Yeah.
it
See,
ha-
I was old enough that there wasn't even getting licensing when we first started, right? So that was a little different. But to answer your original question, I'm a Rockville Center guy. I joke around. I was born at Mercy. Married, baptized.
I was
at
born
St.
at
Agnes.
Mercy.
There you go. We already got something in common. Never really left Rockville Center. Got a little small office there. My kids grew up there. My mom and dad's still there. My brother's there. My sister moved away. Well, not away, but she's up in Port Washington now.
Okay.
But in regards to how it all started, our family, the Roberti family, is all Wall Street guys. So all my uncles, my father, my grandfather started a U.S. bond brokerage company back in the 50s.
Amazing.
So I kind of thought that's what my life was going to be,
Yeah.
And, high school, I never really thought that much into it. I kind of figured this was going to be go to college, graduate, work for my old man. Kind of that's just what it was. My cousins all worked there. That was
the
it.
traditional way to go, right?
That was
yeah.
it, and I was pretty pumped on it. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a great life. I was
course.
like, I could sign up for this right now.
Right.
But then things changed. I think obviously for me, I'm a little bit older than you. Was unfortunately September 11th happened, and there wasn't really jobs.
That really changed everything because my father comes from that background too, like the brokerage, the financial world, and he said after that time and then '08, with all of that,
Right.
it changed that whole
Yeah.
industry.
Totally. So, September 11th happened. So no job. So like, what do? So me and my three buddies moved to Australia. Kind of waited that out for a while.
You moved to Australia?
Yeah. I lived in Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii with
Really?
my three best buddies from high school. We lived in a car, actually. Yeah. We bought a 1984 Subaru hatchback.
Nice.
Yeah, we called it the Digital Chicken. Yeah. We bought it for $1,800. Yeah. We bought it walking out of a bar. We bought the car. Yeah. It's just different than back then. But came back home. I had a college degree.
What made you move to a different country?
I mean, I guess
Just
there
like
was,
was
like I was 21.
Yeah,
I didn't
so-
have really any responsibilities.
Right, so-
When else was I going to do it, right? So,
love that.
yeah, it was just I think an opportunity presented itself, and we kind of just took it, not really knowing anything else, right? So we
of
were in
course.
Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii. Yeah, it was an awesome experience. Still talk about it with my buddies, still to this day. So came back home, was basically sleeping on my mom and dad's couch. I had graduated from college. I think my parents are kind of like, all right, like, it's time to figure this out a little bit. So, like everybody else, I was bartending to make a couple bucks. DJ's brother was starting a mortgage team for a bank, brokerage called BLS Funding, which
Yeah, I've heard of it.
eventually turned into Top Dot Mortgage.
Right.
And I was there from BLS to Premium Capital, Top Dot Funding, and I'll tell you about the day that I came back from my honeymoon. They went out of business. But I got interviewed by the guy's owner's father interviewed me. And he told me two things that still ran true. Well, he asked me a question and then told me one thing. I'm sitting for an interview for a mortgage shop, and he's like, what's a mortgage? And I'm like, good question, man. And he was like, so you don't know what a mortgage is? I was like, I'm like, the guy's brother asked me to come interview. And he was like, it's funny, we found out later he like ABC'd guys, and he was like, he got an A. I was like, this is the worst grading system ever. I didn't even know what a mortgage was. Wound up getting the job, And then on the way out, he told me that, we worked half days. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's crazy. And he's like, yeah, we work 9 to 9. And I was like,
Oh,
okay.
half days as in half of the whole day.
Half of the whole
Not
day.
like not like half a day.
Yeah, like, no, we work from 9 to 9. And I was like, all right, like, because again, I was 22 years old. I didn't know anything better. We'd work on Saturdays. So I'd work Monday through Friday doing mortgages. I'd work Saturdays, and then I would bartend Saturday nights in the city. And then, it was different back then. There was no licensing. There wasn't any of that craziness, but whatever. It just kept on going, Met my wife, started dating. She stuck with me through the ups and downs and all the in-betweens.
You said you were a college guy, though? You went to college?
Yeah,
or what?
graduated Marist in 2001.
Marist.
Yeah, so, which is basically like just northern Long Island. It's like all my buddies are just
I have a lot of buddies that went there.
everywhere from, Long Island. Just started, mortgages, the whole nine. Mortgage meltdown happens.
Yeah, of course.
Me and my wife get married in October, of 2009. Come back. So the only place I worked for like 8 years.
Got it.
Was Top Dot, or came back from my honeymoon, out of business.
Out of business.
Honey, we're married, and I've got a job. Right? Which made it, it was fine.
It's like that movie. What's that movie? Fun with Dick and Jane or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. The guy came home and
And I think my wife totally thought I was a dick when I came home with no job. So, but again, different time, right? So I had my licenses at that point, and then kind of went on this journey, which is something I wanted to kind of like pick your brain about and talk to you about. Is from that time on, I've always wanted to work to where I am now. I always wanted to be in a management position, and success doesn't go this way. It's up and down, and sometimes you're taking one step forward to go 2 steps back.
Exactly.
And it hurts when you're in it. I remember my last boss when I worked at Cardinal, I think about this all the time, and I was just having somebody explained to me as being impatiently patient.
Yeah.
Which is, I understand you have to be patient to be successful, but I also want everything.
Of course, I'm the same exact way right now.
Yeah, and you got to, and I feel like you have to, because somebody else is thinking that way. Right?
1,000,000%, yeah.
You have to think that way, particularly in this business. Like,
Yep.
if I don't pick up a phone call, Dean Franzese is, and then I'm never hearing back from that lead again.
That's how it works in our business.
Has to be. So, like I was saying, my manager, or regional manager at Cardinal, always said, when you're growing, it feels uncomfortable. You're supposed to feel that way. But it doesn't feel good while you're doing it, right? Because you're uncomfortable. These are things that you've never done before. And I think about that all the time, particularly now in this new position at Hartford, where I'm dealing with, recruiting and telling people to come work with us.
Right.
It's a full-time job. But you know what else is a full-time job? Is originating.
Exactly. And
Right?
that's
Right.
It's a challenging part about our industry, I feel like. Even like with having a team or being a loan officer or being in a management position, at the bank, you have to kind of like, not decipher like which one makes more sense, but it's like I was always fully committed to what we did, like to our mortgage business. So I feel like once I, not perfected, because we never perfect anything we do, but once I feel like I became, stable enough to where like I had the business coming in,
Sure.
I was making money, of course,
Right.
I wanted to help other people do the same thing. So I feel like that's like a natural instinct that I know I have.
Right.
I figured it out how to do it a certain way and to see success. Why can't I show somebody else that way?
Sure, and people probably helped you on the way to do that.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Same thing. It's amazing when people sometimes forget how they get there.
Yeah.
I try to take a step back and always remember that, whether it be outside of business, with family, friends, those words of encouragement.
Of course.
And then obviously in the business too, there's so many people that have helped us out. I mean, listen, I'm getting help now.
Of course.
Right? And I think to go back to that balance of I actually was talking to somebody else about this very recently, is the one true commodity that we have in our lives, whether it be business or personal, whatever, is time, right? We don't have an infinite amount of it, right? No matter how much money we have, we can't buy any more of it, right? We're all on a shelf life, whether it be in our business career or our personal lives, whatever the case may be. And I think what we all have to do a better job, but me particularly, is to be as efficient as possible, right?
With your time.
You have to be, right? How many times have we been on the phone and had the same conversation with 3 different people, right?
Yeah.
A borrower, a seller's attorney and a buyer's attorney, where you're like, I could have just put this into a simplistic email.
Exactly.
But it's just, I think as you get older in life, you realize that you have to be more time efficient. And I think
1,000,000%.
the more efficient we become, I think the more successful we'll be.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I've particularly taken away from the Hartford side of things is to try to be more efficient in business.
Yeah. I love that because I've always, to speak on that a little bit, I've always had a challenge with, like, knowing I have a million things to do during the day, whether it's my leads, my referral partners, managing, the pipeline, or going, making sure the loans get towards close, whatever it is, but I feel like the people that have not mastered their craft, but are really successful and hyper successful at their craft, they're a master at their schedule, their routine.
Be a slave to your day.
And everybody sees it like, for the first time in my life, I'm like in the gym and trying to be consistent because I feel like, and I finally realized that goes with like every part of your life. If you're not consistent in one avenue,
Right.
you're probably going to lack somewhere else. So
Absolutely.
I feel like if I don't start and the last week I'm off my game, so I got to get back into my game
on, bro.
and not
At least
miss
you know.
again, because the guys that don't miss are the guys that make it.
Right.
But I feel like I was saying, to start your day with that bulletproof routine,
Right.
that's going to set up the rest of your day, your
Right.
week, your month, your year, and your life.
Right.
So
like everything in life is consistency, right?
Right.
So excellence is just a part of being consistent, right? If you're excellent at what you do, you're probably pretty consistent at the way you approach your day, right?
have to be.
So, and I think to further your point, it's just in this business in particular, it's hard to be. Listen, things pop up and everything kind of
That's
falls
what's
to its
great.
wayside,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
hard to be like, well, listen, I have a borrower that's very concerned about something right now that needs my attention. Now, of course, it's human nature, and listen, we're in the customer service business, right? We provide mortgages, but we really are in the customer service business.
Exactly.
Right? So it's human nature to be like, all right, everything stops. And of course, there's those scenarios, right? But if you take a big step back and if you answer that person in 30 minutes from now, it's usually not
Yeah.
the end of the world, right?
Yeah,
like
no, I
finish the
agree.
task at hand.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like if I'm not answering in 5 seconds, like
Right.
I did something wrong.
Exactly.
And that brings up a good point. Not that we were, I want to get into
Yeah.
something that I feel like successful people, such as yourself, I've had challenges with this, the work-life balance thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
tough.
you're a big family guy.
Yeah.
You guys are big into the sports, which we were talking about.
Yeah.
Have you gotten better at that? How do you figure out that whole work-life
Well,
balance thing? Because
Yeah,
that's
no,
something I'm trying to become.
Well, as
better
your
at
daughter
that,
gets
you know?
older, you're going to need
I feel like there is no balance. How is that balance?
Yeah.
Right now?
Well, it's just all work,
Right,
right?
right.
Well, so for me, I'm very lucky because I have a very, very good support system at home. It's
amazing.
The business is good enough that my wife is able to take care of the boys.
Of course.
Right? So without that, nothing else kind of falls in place
Yeah.
because she allows me to focus on the work. Now, Dean, there's something wrong with me though. I'm the guy on vacation that's like I can't. I wish I could let it go.
Yeah, you can't
I
turn it
can't.
off.
My buddies, I'm a Rockville Center guy. My dearest friends have been my friends since I was 10, 11 years old.
That's amazing.
So it's 30 plus years of
Yeah.
friendship. We spend a lot of times on the weekends, and these guys know come 5 o'clock on Sundays, like I'm starting to already switch into what we have to do on the week.
Mortgage
But
mode.
meanwhile, right? But meanwhile, I'm at the beach with my family and friends. Like, you can wait 3 hours till you get home. So to get back to the work balance thing, I think it's very important to having that support system is a huge advantage.
What do you think in the beginning, like for a young 25-year-old?
It should be just all work.
It's got to be all work.
There's nothing else.
What are you balancing?
There is no balance. It's just work, right? Because what are you going to do? Go home and watch The Simpsons? Like, what does it matter? What is there? What else is there to do, right? I think as you get older, somebody had told me not too long ago actually that there's no brinks behind a hearse truck or a hearse van or whatever it's called. Meaning you can't take it all with you.
Right.
And I don't think anybody that's ever on their deathbed says, oh man, I really wish I had worked more. I don't think anybody ever says that.
Yeah.
But with that being said, the flip side of thing, and it's something very important to me, having 2 sons is, and I learned this from my father as well, is I saw my dad get up every single day, right? It's more, I think everybody in life gravitates to more watching people do something than actually saying it, right? Like we've had bosses that are like, "Why don't you do this?" And it's like, "You don't fucking do it."
Yeah.
Why do I, what do you mean? I don't think you don't want to put words in your mouth, but I never respected that, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Like, and just not to get off on a tangent because I want to get back to the work-life thing, but this was something I would really love your insight on. It's something that I just have a hard time wrapping my mind around, particularly with what we do for a living. I always found it funny. Managers that I always gravitated towards were guys I always felt like were in it with me. The guys that actually originated. They closed loans.
Right.
They had to deal with their own loan issues, an appraisal coming in short, or an unruly borrower, an unclean title, whatever the case may be. That was somebody I always wanted to be close, like I would emulate to.
Of course.
How can I do that?
Yeah.
Right. And then on the flip side, I've had managers where it's been like, well, I don't originate. And it's like, it is what you do. This is what this job is to close loans. Everything else is fluff outside of that.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So in this new position, I think I've learned more from what not to do, from what guys have done and acted towards me, than more what have people treated me kindly, because that to me just feels like a natural reaction, like to be respectful. So, I'm sure we could probably tell war stories about good bosses, bad bosses, but I was just curious to, kind of see what you think about that.
Yeah, that's so I was always want to be in the trenches since I started. When I decided a couple of years ago to build a team, I realized that number one, you're not going to get where you want to be right away. So you're going to have to continue to put the work in that you've always put in to actually get to this point.
Sure.
Right. And just by being around the people I've always been around in the business, for some reason, and this is not to knock anybody, I feel like it's always those non-producing managers that maybe they're successful, but you don't hear great things about those people in our business. I'm sure some of them are successful,
Of course, absolutely.
But there's a lot of non-produce. Why are you a non-produce? You're in a sales environment.
Yeah, so that means you're non-producing. It's literally like the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, so maybe it's a life, whatever the reason it is. But yeah, to go back to your question and what you were saying is, I've gone through both sides of it. I feel like I've decided to build a team where, like, how could you continue to do the little things that take away time from helping people?
Sure.
So it's like, you have to learn to delegate, put systems in place, hey, you make sure this is happening, you make sure, so I've tried that route. But then I also realized, like you said, if you're not in the trenches with your guys and they don't see you going through adversity and whatever it is, or having challenges on a loan, or
just like even something more simplistic, if like you being on the phone with a borrower, you have a retort, or you have something to be able to help them better understand something. Right. The guys around you, because we're all sitting next to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's going to hear something, going to be able to pick up on it. I mean, like, it's always that thing. We've had managers like, "What do you got cooking?" Like, get out of my face, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's something I've been conscious to be on the forefront on the origination side of things still, particularly at Hartford, because I think at the end of the day, it just holds so much more weight when you have
1,000,000%.
when you give advice.
Yeah.
Because you do it and everybody else sees you doing it all day long. So, but I know we got off on a little bit of tangent. Back to the work balance thing. I think if you are particularly a younger guy, or you have a girlfriend or a fiance or whatever, there's really not kids in the picture per se. This business has a very interesting way of finding out if you're not all in, and it kind of will kick you pretty quickly if you're not. Yeah. Right. And I think we've all been there. We've all taken our eye off the ball.
Definitely.
Right. We're all human beings. Particularly over the last 18 months.
That's what I said. I've said it on the last couple of episodes that I became complacent. Right. We were very successful before COVID. Then COVID happened.
Of course.
It became easy.
Right.
So I became complacent.
Right.
Let's build something different. Let's try some different things. Let's focus here, and maybe not focus what got you there. Yeah. So then you realize, like, oh, holy shit. Right. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. Or now I learn for next time. I look at it that way.
Well, listen,
everything's a learning
experience. Run.
Yeah, of course.
This is just the way the business is. But I think, and listen, as equally it was easy during those COVID years, right? It was equally as hard as it was the last couple of years, right? So, I think to any sort of mortgage person that's listening to this is like, you should pat yourself on the back.
1,000,000%.
You made it through the hard part, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to get tougher than that.
It's crazy to hear people like I've never been around people who say, because we're around guys in the business 30 years,
Sure,
40 years, for them to say like I've never seen something like this, and
Yeah.
for it to actually be a time where they say there was less business than 2008, a time that I didn't see.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy to hear that.
I
And
saw
like
both.
you said, we got to pat ourselves on the back
We
because
made it.
Yeah, we made it.
We took the hardest punch at it was, I mean, I think by every measurement, it was the hardest or least originated loan year in 30 years, right? So that's just a matter of fact, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you're still standing, you made it, right? So
that's
now, again, to go back to your original question, like, get all the fruits of your labor, like. Now I would be super focused in regards to getting out of that complacency. That built-in excuse how it's tough. Like that's got to go away now.
I agree. I all I say is, how am I going to not let a year? Not that 2023 was a bad year.
Yeah.
We'll always be successful, no matter what the market is. Do you have to make adjustments? Are you investing too much money into this, and then this has to change, or do you have to pull this back and start applying something here? Yeah, you realize that as you go on, but we control our own market. That's one thing I truly believe.
Sure.
What do you think about? I feel like hard work creates luck, and then obviously,
Yeah.
some luck helps us,
Yeah.
reap the rewards of life,
Right.
Monetarily and other parts of our personal lives. What do you think about the whole like working hard versus working smart? Do you feel like in the beginning you have to really just put the time in, work hard, work hard, work hard?
I mean, I think like the work smart thing is bullshit.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like, what does that even mean? Like,
You're not going to work hard. What
like,
the fuck?
yeah, what does it really mean, right? So I think people generally appreciate hard work. I think customers, again, I go back to we're in customer service. So when people are like, hey, he's super responsive, he's getting back to me, I think people appreciate
Definitely.
that. And I think people also want to surround themselves with somebody like,
With like-minded people.
I don't want to be around lazy people. That's, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room, right? That's the right room to be in.
I love
Right?
that.
You don't want to be around. I'm sure your mom said the same thing to me. You are who your friends are.
And Gio said it on the last podcast. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room, probably.
Absolutely.
And that's something that
Right.
really resonated with me because I feel like, and not to cut you
Yeah, no,
off,
you're fine.
I feel like a big problem with today, and not just this generation, is that people don't, and this is not everybody, this
yeah,
is
of
not
course, it's
guys
not
like
sure.
us,
Yeah.
people don't want to see people thrive and do well.
Yeah. I say this all the time. I don't know what happened over the last couple of years. Now, again, I'm older. I'm 44, so maybe I look at things a little bit differently. But I don't know why all of a sudden, like, ambition became a negative connotation. I don't think there's anything wrong with being ambitious if you have the right moral compass, right? So if you're hardworking and you want to attain your goals, there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. You should be. You should want to strive for excellence. So, but what comes with that? Is it one of these things? I made XYZ selling crypto and I worked 2 hours a day and now I'm in the Bahamas. Well, how did that work out for everybody?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it worked out all that well. Now, I'm sure I'm sure somebody could dig something up and make me look pretty foolish with that comment, but I think the majority of the people kind of failed in that regard. So the work smarter versus the work harder thing, I'm on the belief that, with hard work comes good luck. Right.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
And I think that is a tried and true statement.
100%. What I feel like also, going back to the hard work, I feel like that's the biggest challenge people have is the staying consistent, which we talked about.
Right.
I'm a big believer in, now I'm becoming a big believer in, the way you are about yourself, the way you view yourself is the way others will view you.
Of course.
And if you're not the best version of yourself, and if you're not putting the work in every day to be that person,
Sure.
Why would other people look at you that way?
Absolutely.
Also,
Yeah.
And I truly believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I had a
That
hard
goes back to what you were saying about work. If you're not doing the work, why would other people want to follow you?
Of course,
no matter what
absolutely.
it is.
Yeah, no, who would want? I wouldn't want to follow that person. I think I remember, particularly during COVID, I remember speaking to colleagues and stuff like that, and they were working from home, and they would like brag about like being in their sweatpants for 3 days, and I was like. The work from home thing was a really hard thing for me to do.
It lasted a week, and I was in the office.
Yeah, so I had. My wife was like, "You need to find a place to be," which is I completely acknowledge that.
Most people were like that.
Yeah, no, which I
be
can.
smart.
Yeah, I once like
We're not normal,
the
so.
baking the banana bread became like old. You know what I mean? Like people just figuring out things to do. I found a little office in Rockville Center, and it was like a godsend because it was like I was able to be close enough to home.
Yeah,
My
yeah, of
commute
course.
was 2 minutes. It was great, but I was also out of the house, dressed. That to me is an important thing. I never
1,000,000%.
understood like I'm like in a jumper or whatever. Like I'm like I wouldn't brag about that. It's just it doesn't seem appealing to me. I just didn't get it. Now again, I'm the furthest from perfect, and I talk with our guys at work. I'm a work in progress, so. I'm certainly not coming across as judgmental. This is just the way that I think, and I think there's probably a counter argument to the way that I probably live my life too. I think, go back to the work-life balance. I should probably maybe down throttle a little bit, but I just don't. I just don't have that in me.
Yeah.
And I think
That's not who you are.
it's
so
just
what?
not who. Yeah. So you
who
just
you
have
are.
to be who you are at this point, right? At 44 years old, you're not going to change. And I think. Secondly, I'm happy that both of our sons, see that.
Yeah,
And that to me is the most important thing, right? Like, it's all about legacy. I watched the TV show, The Bear, and the woman had a great line that it was the strongest gift a father could give to their children is a strong last name. And I think that's something that I think my dad gave that to me, and that's something that I want to give to my children, that they're proud of giving their last name Roberti. And my dad worked hard. He took care of us. We didn't want a whole lot. I think those, but what is that? How do you get to that? And that's with hard work and putting your best foot forward and doing all those things and doing things the right way too.
We
right?
were raised different back then too.
Yeah.
Even like you said, you were a little older than me. I was raised old school, with tough love, and I've talked about it a few times on the
Tough
podcast.
love.
Yeah, people. I feel like people are raised like that nowadays,
Sure.
but not.
I can tell you my kids are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's the only way.
Yeah.
I do believe that. Like I have a daughter.
Sure.
It's like a different feeling.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
if I had a
absolutely.
son-
I would know it. I just got boys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's different.
It's a different feeling, and I wouldn't know the other end of it, not
Sure.
having boys.
Yeah.
But I feel like, as a father of a boy,
Yeah.
it would, you want them to respect your legacy and who you are, and
Absolutely.
that's shows your commitment to what you believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
of
think
course.
it's important, and that's what that's your motivation, right, to get you out of bed and stuff like that. I mean, listen, we live on the Northeast. It's 25 degrees sometimes. It's nice in that bed, right? You don't want to get out and go work out like you do, or I'm on the Peloton every day working out in the morning. So but you got to do it, right? And you want to see your kids doing it. You want to do all those things. So I think to answer your question, your original question is, I think hard work trumps anything else. 99 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just lucky. Yeah.
Some people are lucky.
Yeah.
You can control. I feel like the luck by working hard. They say that over time, but there are some people that I feel like just get that golden
don't think
ticket.
we're one of them.
Yeah, listen.
We'll make our own
God bless
golden
those
ticket.
people.
Yeah.
And back to what we were saying, I don't look at that person any different.
No, God, no.
I wish that happened to me,
God
but
bless.
it didn't.
Yeah,
It didn't
So what
happen
am I
to
going to
me,
do?
so
I'm going to pout, or am I going to move on?
That's it.
Yeah.
I know you're a big sports guy.
Sure.
And a big sports family.
Absolutely.
Your sons are engaged in
absolutely.
in basketball and
Yeah.
some of the stuff we've talked about. Do you teach them is like about we got to win? Like how important is winning? Because we all
It's
want
probably the most important
is.
thing.
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
and now listen, it's not. I'm not like this crazy dad that yells. I'm normal. I promise you. But I think I don't. It's hard for me to understand that like participation trophy lifestyle.
Second place is not an option.
It's not like I make them sleep in the garage if they don't win. But I think it's important to be competitive because listen, life's competition, right? That's just. I don't think people really want to hear that, but I'm telling you, that's the reality of life. To the victors goes the spoils. Like, there's an old saying, it's hundreds and hundreds of years old, thousands of years maybe even. I think that, competition is a good thing, and I think competing in the right way, putting your best foot forward and trying your hardest. It's all right if you lose, if you tried your hardest, right? You're a good teammate and all those things, right? Somebody told me again a long time ago that an uncoachable kid makes an unemployable adult, right? And if you think of that's if you think about it, we've all had that kid on the team that was just not tough to be around. Maybe bad body language, didn't listen to the coach.
I was a sponge, man. I
Yeah.
just remember growing up.
Yeah, and
what it was.
yeah, and think about what that kid is as an adult. You think he's going to listen to his boss or his manager or whatever the case may be, you know? So I definitely take that approach in life in regards to my kids. You know, a competition and winning is about as important as anything else.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Just to get back into some business stuff that we talk
Sure.
about, you know, as
The unfun stuff.
Yeah, the unfun stuff.
No.
You know, as we start to finish up today, we're not in any. You know, I'll sit here for hours with you.
Let's do it.
But what's a piece of advice? So like the last year or two, yeah, it's been challenging.
No
We know in
doubt.
our business based on just numbers. If you were speaking to a young realtor or a loan officer or even somebody, because I feel like for a while I was trying to find young people who had ambition,
Sure.
that wanted to work hard.
Right.
Let's train them, help them get licensed, and then I feel like that model, you came away from that because you want to have people that are seasoned in the business that you know are going to produce in a challenging market. But I love that. I love helping young people that, you know, maybe never knew they wanted to be in sales and they found their niche and
Sure.
they found what they love.
Sure.
You know, what's a piece of advice you would give to anybody, you know, about getting into a business like ours? And
Sure.
I know we all say things that, you know, it's tough, but every business is
It's
tough.
Yeah, life's
Because if I wouldn't do this if I didn't genuinely eat, sleep, breathe, and love this business. You know,
absolutely.
I love what I
This
do.
business has been great to us.
Yeah, of course.
Right. I would say the biggest thing I could give as advice to anybody is be as accessible as possible.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, particularly in the beginning, there is really no time off. Right.
Yeah.
Your phone. Now, listen, we're all connected to our phones anyway. But I would try to be. I would try to portray to be as accessible to people as possible. Whether it be just I even tell customers now, 20 years into it, is, there's no such thing as a silly question. And if you need to call me at 7:30 on a Tuesday night or, on a Sunday at 1 o'clock, if it could put your mind at ease, I think that goes a really long way. So I think accessible is probably the most important thing. And I think the other thing I would really encourage some of the mortgage people and the real estate agents is, this is all great, right? The social media stuff, the podcast stuff, it is an important part of the pie, if you would.
Yep.
But not everyone can be a social media influencer, right?
I completely agree with that.
And I could understand why everybody wants to, because this is fucking awesome. This is fun. Like, this is way better than having to do the hard work.
Way better than having to dial the phone all day.
Yeah, exactly. Tell people no 99 out of 100 times, right? If you're lucky, 99 out of 100 times. So I would encourage people that although the social media part is an important part of it, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
I completely agree.
And I think even more as this has gone on, it becomes very transparent that there's no kind of structure behind that or nothing of concreteness to it. So I would say, let this be a part of your business, but don't let it encompass your entire business, because
completely agree with that.
I think people can.
You see a lot of people just doing videos and doing this and networking events at night. And
I mean,
even the networking events. I love networking events. I'll never knock somebody going to a networking
Of course
event.
not.
But what I truly believe is...
But are you networking or are you just hanging out?
And not to talk about myself,
right.
but when I got in the business, and you'll hear this from people random people that were at Meadowbrook, and that's why I earned the opportunity, to be allowed to kind of build how I wanted to build. I was always the one to do the extra stuff that, whether it was a Saturday, a Sunday, nighttime, early, I don't care what it was. I would do the little things that I saw nobody else doing.
Sure.
If I saw everybody leave the office, I would make sure I stayed at the office. Just so maybe the one person walking by would say, oh, wow, look at Dean, he's at the office.
Right.
Whoever the owner, whoever it was back then. So I feel like people lack that nowadays.
And didn't you always? It always used to make me, and it still does. It makes you feel good.
Of course, it makes you feel good.
You know what I mean? When you're
Like now, they look at it. People, first of all, nobody does that. There's
Right.
very few people who will do things when people aren't looking.
Right.
But I feel like over time, and again, that goes back to what we said. People want to do something and they expect the results right away. Over time, whether it's a lead, whether it's dialing the phone, whether it's staying late, showing up early, going to the gym, no matter what it is, over time, you're going to see the results. So that's just how not that I'm even close to where I want to be in our industry. I have a lot more to do.
We're never going to be there.
A lot more to give back, a lot more things for us to
And
accomplish.
every milestone that you're going to hit, right? You're going to be like, okay, well, I did that. Now what's next? That's, you're always going to chase that. I think, just
I'm never compl- I'm,
Yeah,
nev-
yeah, you
I'm never going
can't
to be
be.
okay with the situation I'm in.
Right.
And that's not to say you're not happy in life or you're not.
Yeah, no, but you don't need to be content. There's no such thing.
definitely not.
And I think sometimes you should always stop and smell the roses, right? I
Yeah,
think
that
that's
I
an
agree
important
with.
part of it. That's an important part of it. I think, and the last thing that I would really encourage people, particularly in the beginning, is to, if you ever get bad news, rip the Band-Aid off. It is, the truth shall set you free, and it's, I think for whatever reason, people are so anti-confrontational now, and it doesn't need to be a confrontation. It's just, hey, listen, sometimes people get declined for mortgages, right? And the longer it takes to deliver that message and news, sometimes, whatever it be, as serious as unfortunately somebody's gets their mortgage declined, or, hey, that piece of document you gave me just doesn't meet the requirements. Don't. As soon as you get the news, just do it. Right. And I think once you get into that habit, that gets back to what we talked about like time efficiency. I've seen guys dodge borrowers for weeks, just rip off the Band-Aid, deliver the bad news, get in front of it, and then you fix the problem, right? Because
100%.
you know that the longer these things take, it only compounds the problem where it might not even had to have been a problem. So, I think those three things I would really encourage people to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
One of the things I really love about this industry and what we do is that you have the ability to be a problem solver.
Sure.
I'll give you an example. Last month, I get a phone call on the 16th that my buddy's buying a $2 million house in Florida.
Yeah.
He's got 13 days or he's losing his couple $100,000 on his
State,
contract.
yeah.
There's no on or about in Florida. It's on or before.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happened for that year and a half on a new construction house that lender or that person that worked on that financing didn't have everything
Buttoned up.
Yeah. That I get a phone call 16 days, 2 years later after that house was being built that I have to save the day.
Yeah.
Now, I'm honored.
Yeah,
that
you're
I had
pumped
that-
to do it.
I was
Yeah.
pumped, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
honored to have that opportunity,
Yeah.
to be able to deliver because right away, when you're speaking to somebody and like, yeah, maybe they didn't get it done because of this. Like, right away, like
Sure.
how we can operate in our business,
Absolutely.
and
Particularly-
if we can deliver.
Yeah, particularly at Hartford too,
Particularly
right?
at Hartford,
Yeah.
because the principals like
Yeah.
yourself and
Yeah.
all the people we're around are involved in the transactions.
All hands on deck.
All hands on deck,
Yeah.
no matter what, from
Yeah.
from assistants to owners.
Absolutely.
All hands on deck. So that gives us the ammunition we need
Absolutely.
to execute.
And that's a guy like, you save the day, and that's, whether it be a realtor or whatever the case, like, I'm
It's
obviously.
an amazing feeling.
Yeah, dude, you saved the
it's an
day.
amazing feeling,
It's
yeah.
much better than being on that other side. I mean, I would just, I would have told the guy you should have called me 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like I
And
try
now
to.
I have to fix
like, how
your
does
problem.
that happen? Yeah, like how does that happen?
Yeah,
But-
I remember, and I think to get back to the social media thing, because once we just talked about this, it's funny. I was having a cocktail with my wife, and we had run into they're our friends now. We weren't as friendly as it was maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, and it was a Friday after work, and I was like, "Oh, how was your week?" And they're like, "Oh, we just bought a house," and I kind of I just gave the look. I was like, "What do you like?" And he was like, "Oh, dude, I forgot that you did mortgages." And I could have been like,
I love that.
"You're a dick." But I was like, that's on me. Right?
You're
Like,
right. Yeah, you're
that's
right.
I.
you're right.
That's my fault. Like the
You're right.
squeaky wheel gets the oil.
You're right.
But now I did this whole Mr. Mortgage thing, and now, and listen, you with that becomes all like the ball breaking, which is fine, right? But the fact of the matter is that everybody knows what I do now, right? So you never have to get that. You got to get the word out, right? And you want to do it in a kind of a classy type of way, but
Definitely.
to get back to that was just a story that made the Mr. Mortgage.
That's a jab.
Oh man, and he's my buddy too, BC. If you're watching this, yeah.
That's
I had an aha moment.
That's a tough one. But that like you said, you take responsibility.
Yeah, you
know,
have
If
to.
you were out there more, he maybe would have saw you. I say the same thing for myself. And going back to what you were saying about like the new people with the social media, and even guys in the industry that maybe aren't doing what they should be doing because they're not seeing the results. Like social media, I look at as a sales funnel, right? I have my call center. We have our leads, that come in to the office. We have our referral partners that we network with.
Right.
We go to our events, and then we have social media.
Right.
You know, so if you look at a guy like Ryan Serhant, he
Right.
posted a video last week on social media that says
Oh, you tell me about
there's
this.
millions and millions of real estate agents out there. We all know that I'm a real estate agent,
Sure.
and we all know that he's a real estate agent.
Right.
But what's going to be the difference that's going to separate myself from the other millions of people?
Right.
You know, I'm real estate and media. You know,
Right.
I'm mortgages and media.
Right.
You know, doesn't mean you're in a different business. And I
Right.
feel like sometimes a lot of people take something and they're like too much with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, whereas I know for myself, now that this is under control,
Yeah.
we show up here for an hour, we put our time in.
Right.
You know, for the next week, we're not doing it.
It's part of your
It's
business
part of
now.
our business.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
sales
Yeah,
funnel for
right,
me.
right.
And I look at, you know, I never made fun of it, but I used to say the same thing. Why do I care about the views I'm getting?
Right.
Why do I care about how many followers we're getting?
Right.
It's not monetarily doing anything for me right now.
Right.
But when you take a step back and you realize, you know, everything or a lot of the good things in life are long-term plays, you know, over time, you know, this video that we posted, if it did 50,000 views and
Yeah.
we gained 100 followers, so now in a year we got 10,000 new people looking at my stuff, you know, over time, out of those 10,000 or 100,000 people,
Right.
you know, which one of those people is going to need what we do for a living?
And it's also a snowball effect,
Yeah, it's
right?
a snowball effect.
yeah.
Like, I feel, you know, no matter where we go now, they know, like, all right, yeah, you do mortgages,
And you're putting in the work for
but
it.
they
now.
also love this. So
Yeah.
they knew, like, I was a mortgage guy for 10 years. So now the feedback that I'm getting is,
Right.
you know, I like that, you know, you're doing something different.
Right. And more importantly, I think why people are respecting and gravitating it's because you put the 10 years in already.
Yeah.
It's not like you started this when interest rates were 2.5 and all of a sudden you know it all.
I didn't leave my desk for the first 6 or 7 years. You asked my father and Keith, you know, I put that time in because
Absolutely.
that's how I learned from the people around me.
Of course. Absolutely.
Nowadays, people want to just, I saw that on social media, I'm going to do it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And
No,
there's no, and it's almost like, you know, we were like kind of offline. We were kind of talking about like we were joking around about like my job title. We don't know what that is, right? The director of strategic growth. Like we kind of know what it is. It's
Yeah.
helping build the bank and things
Exactly,
along those.
helping bring in
But all of a
people.
sudden,
Yeah, of
like
course.
I had never saw that before, and it intrigued me when they kind of offered that position to me, right? And then all of a sudden, like. You know, I posted on LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden we see like 4 other people, like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
can you just like change one letter? You know what I mean? But
That's our business.
yeah, I know.
You know,
It's
that's our
fun.
business.
I bet, but what they say is, what I forget what the saying goes. Something's like, it's the something's the highest form of flattery. What is it like?
That even makes you feel good, though,
Forget
when
it.
you see you accomplish something and now
Yeah.
other people, you know, whether they're at a different place or,
Right.
you know, earned that or didn't whatever to have that position,
Yeah.
you know, that's you did something right. So
I think,
Yeah.
it feels like you're doing something right for
1,000,000%.
sure. Yeah, no, I like, you know, listen, we have a lot to look forward to, right? Like I think,
I wanted to finish up
Yeah, yeah.
2024. What are we doing? How are we crushing this year? And what are
Yeah.
your plans? You know, for yourself and for the bank. Like,
Yeah.
what
so
are we excited for this year, Mr. Roberti?
I'm excited for everything. You know, I'm excited, you know, for the business side of things. I mean, Hartford will be, I'll be here a year coming up in March. You know, I think ultimately what I'm trying to do is I want to try to hire 100 loan officers by the end of the year. That's really where
love
we're
it.
at, you know, and we've made some great headway.
Yeah,
You know, we got some
definitely.
good news today.
Yeah,
Right. So,
definitely.
that's where my goal is for Hartford as an entity. As myself, I want Hartford to be talked in the same breath as some of the other very large banks, not only on Long Island but eventually one day in the country. Right.
Definitely.
That's where
Definitely.
that's really where your goals is. You know, a little delusional probably, but you know,
Well, you know, we have those people behind us and around us, and
Absolutely.
in business with us, which
we
is,
have
which
support.
is amazing. Yeah.
There's no. I tell people this all the time.
We're not lacking any piece of the puzzle. Now it's
No,
about
we
just
gotta
putting
put
the puzzle together.
right? And listen, there was a very hard part of it that did not cooperate. It was the market,
Right.
right?
Yep. Timing.
So you know, I think to solidify myself more and more and more in 2024, I think is solidify Hartford. You know, grow my personal business, grow the team, grow the bank, help us get better. That's what I'm excited for 2024 in regards to business. You know, personally, I think it's a work in progress, man.
Yeah.
What about you, bro? What do you got?
Same thing.
thing?
You know, we've all gone through our shit this last year or two. I got my 3-year-old daughter. She's,
Bounce back.
of course, no matter what it is, my number one priority.
course.
Everything I do every single day is to give her the opportunity to do whatever she wants in life.
Right.
You know, the world is challenging. You
Yeah.
know, I'll go through with blinders on no matter what happens, but I don't want my kids to ever have to deal with some of the challenges that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm dealing with challenges.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is,
but
this
no.
is nothing.
Yeah, but I understand what you're
I
saying.
never want my kid to have to deal with anything besides. Not that I'm going to hand you things, but
Yeah.
I want you to have every opportunity
No
that
doubt.
there is at your fingertips in life.
Same thing
and
that our dads gave
it
us.
starts with us, exactly.
Yeah,
The same
thing
things our dads.
I
give
want to
us.
give, if not more, not a, if not just the same, if not more that our dads gave us.
And I feel like it's always the same mistakes. Our parents made the mistakes, then I make the mistakes. They're telling us don't do this, and I'm doing that. I'm telling my kid. It's just crazy how it works,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's just life. You're gonna
Yeah.
continue to make the mistakes. Are you gonna learn from certain ones that you can't make again? You have to,
Right,
or
of
else
course.
you'll never
Absolutely.
get anywhere.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, Dean, like you hit the nail on the head. We really surround ourselves with some good guys, and I think what we're going to do is just surround ourselves with even better guys. And it goes back to,
1,000,000%.
we'll maybe one day you and I are sitting in a room at Hartford with around some people where we look at each other and be like, "Holy shit, we are the two dumbest guys in here."
Yeah. Well, listen. Whatever it takes to
Yeah.
help everybody get to where
Absolutely.
we want to get.
We'll
you
get
know,
there.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
There's no way we're going to fail.
Back to my plans. There's taking no is not an option.
Yeah, it can't.
No is not an option.
Absolutely.
We're gonna make it work. We're gonna be the best we can be.
Absolutely.
We're gonna bring everybody up and uplift everybody around us. That's my job this year.
Sure.
To give value to every single person in my life and around me in the business, and not just in the business.
Yeah.
So that's my plan for this year.
So-
Stay focused, work hard.
Yeah.
Stay consistent. Don't miss like I've missed this week. With
Yeah,
certain things.
you'll be all right.
You can't miss.
I'll keep you honest, and then we'll circle back. So what we hopefully, if we can make an agreement, maybe hopefully I'll be on before then. But by the end of 2024, we got to at least do a recap.